First, I want to hear about this breakdancing. So you guys went to high school together?
Yes.
And you were in the same breakdancing?
No, I couldn't break dance to do. Hey, man, bro.
This guy only dance even save
let
his
me tell
life,
you,
man. Like,
man.
fully
You
dance.
see, these were the cool kids.
And then now, if you see this guy at Nairobi Street Kitchen, you won't know that it's the co-host of the Full Scale Podcast.
He changes, yeah. These guys were the cool ones, the ones who are mesmerizing ladies in school. So he was part of a breakdancing group, and they would be doing some moves, man. Now me, from where I came from,
But you know that's the only way we'd get like a seat on the bus to go to other schools.
Exactly, for events.
For functions, you know, like
funkies,
because it'd always be like, you know, like top of the list.
Entertainment.
Yeah, because you're the entertainment. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it used to be so much fun.
No, but
Actually learned how to breakdance in Mango.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? You
Yeah,
didn't know?
I didn't know.
I know you guys were so good, man.
Necessity,
Like,
man.
I remember
Necessity.
even like they would bring the show down. But it was interesting.
Yeah.
It was,
Wow.
It
was
gets
very
to talk to a lot of
interesting,
hot chicks, yeah.
you guys were getting the fine ones. You know, me I was getting my chicks at math contest, man. These chicks don't care about anything. They just came to do math.
So at the end, maybe we'll have a little breakdance.
Oh, math contest. But it was quite an experience.
Good old days, man.
Yeah, good old days.
Okay, awesome. Guys, let me get us started. Welcome back to the Full Scale Podcast. This is episode 15, and we're particularly excited about this episode because it's our very first episode having a guest on the show. So I'm still Adrian. I'm your co-host. I'm here with Timothy Mukiti, as always, co-host and managing partner of Mukiti Advocates. And today we're joined by our very first guest ever, Collins Muriuki. Welcome to the show, Collins. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. So today's episode is featuring Collins. Collins is the founder and CEO of Terra, which is a business that empowers companies with digital solutions that accelerate their growth. In 2023, he was ranked among the top 40 Kenyans under the age of 40. And this year, he was selected as one of the top 50 entrepreneurs in Africa by the Africa Business Heroes. Collins, pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome. Maybe I'll just start off by just saying, tell us about yourself. Who is Collins? And we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, so thanks for that intro. You know, at times when you read it, it doesn't really like clicking that that's me.
Yeah.
Slight correction, it's top 20 now. All right, for ABH, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
we're
but they announced
seated
it.
in the midst of greatness, man. Wow.
Yeah, so pretty excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm Muriuki Collins, co-founder at Terra. I'm a dad of two. A girl and a boy.
Nice.
So I've been on this journey for over a decade, building a company and a business that I really love, trying to really like solve problems across Africa. Outside work, I love overlanding, so I'm a bush guy.
Okay.
Spend a lot of time in the wild, driving, out there. And I think it's just one of the ways I decompress. I find, ways to just break from the norm.
Nice. You definitely have the car for that.
Yeah. I mean, we should put the car on the screen, man. The machine is amazing. You guys. Lanes.
But there's something I noticed, like people always say that even when you look at the car, it just shows like I'm an entrepreneur. I love building things from nothing. Because you get this car when it's so old, it's raggedy, it's rusty, and then you just make it like a really nice and fun car to drive.
Awesome.
So I can see that in my journey, when I started over a decade ago.
Wow.
Out of nothing and building this company. And we'll talk about it, losing it during COVID to where I am right now. So
Awesome.
It's a long journey. I'm a patient guy. I love dancing.
The break dancer.
I love dancing.
Do you still break dance? Or what kind of dancing do you do now?
My knees are set up.
Your knees will not cooperate.
Yeah, so I think in a nutshell, that's me.
Awesome. What about Terra? Maybe tell us about Terra and the work that you're doing there.
Yeah, so Terra is a fintech that really empowers businesses. And we help them accelerate their growth with technology. And the tech we use is really called Wallet as a Service.
Okay.
So we're just building the digital wallet infrastructure for Africa. that allows our partners or any business to come and create wallets without having to build it themselves from scratch.
Okay.
So we're really trying to enable financial inclusion in the continent. So yeah, Terra's been doing this for quite some time, but that's not what we started with.
Okay.
Yeah, we started just as another technology company offering value-add services to banks and financial institutions. 2 years in, we got a project by Bill and Melinda Foundation.
Okay.
And that was really to automate sanitation centers in Kibera. Like how do you access a hot shower? How do you access a toilet? Because there were no toilets. That's way back in 2011.
Wow.
So we built a platform that allowed you to tap and pay for access to a toilet in Kibera. They wanted to digitize how they do these small collections and contributions from guys in the slums.
Yeah.
In a more like effective and price-friendly manner, because mobile money was pretty pricey back then. So we created that platform, and that's when we had a keen interest on like payments.
Okay.
So from around 2013, 2014, Terra really morphed from just a tech company into a payment platform. We started doing payment processing across we were in 3 markets at the height of it.
Okay.
But we were really focused on hotels and restaurants. So how you book your airline ticket. So we'd switch some of those transactions, how you'd pay for hotels, on online stores.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So we did that for quite some time across 3 markets, and then COVID hit. Yeah. So we lost 90% of the business, shut down, went back home. Only 4 of us remained in the company.
Wow. How many were you before that?
Full-time and remote, you'd say nearly 40.
Wow.
Yeah. And then went back to just me, my partner, and just probably 2 other guys.
90% reduction.
90%. Revenues went to almost zero. Because now you can imagine no one's flying.
Right?
Yeah.
No one's booking.
Who needs to make the payments and all that?
Yeah. So it was really like one of the darkest periods for us at Terra. So and then during COVID, thereabout, something happened. We met a lady called Wawi Ranjiru, founder of Food for Education. She was like, Collins, can you help us figure out how to feed kids? And that's when we pivoted. And we started figuring out, okay, we can make purposeful wallets. We can build wallets that help, drive change in different, areas and sectors. And we built that infrastructure now.
Wow.
Yeah. And that now took off. Yeah, from 2021, 2022, that picked up. We helped us scale the largest school feeding program in Africa now. We're working with other partners in that sector. And then we took one of the learnings we had during COVID, just to be sector agnostic, because we learned if you just focus on one industry, what can happen?
Yeah.
Not even payments.
Specifically on, the airline business. Yeah.
So, and we did a bit of research during COVID. I don't want to make it so glamorous, but it was really, really bad. Because we tried to hold on to people. We didn't want to fire guys. So we tried to hold on as much as we could. And then you realize, okay, this thing is not going to end. We thought it was 3 months, then 6 months. Yeah. So that has been the journey of Terra. And then we morphed into this Terra 2.0, we call it.
Okay.
Yeah. Where we're now just focused on digital wallets and building that infrastructure.
Amazing.
Interesting. And just now to tie it to what you've just the story you've given about Terra.
Yeah.
We would like to know what inspired you to start Terra, and how did you identify the problem that you wanted your business to solve? I'm sure, of course, it's changed a bit. You talked about pivoting, but what made you?
What made us start in the first place? So, poverty.
I'm joking. I mean, that's a good reason to start anything. I mean,
of course, everyone wants to make money, right?
Of course, yeah.
But for us, it was probably two deeply rooted issues that we faced growing up. One was how the technology we were using wasn't really made in Africa. Terra in itself, the name means earth. So when we came up with the name Terra, my partner was like, okay, who's gonna build solutions for Earth? In that we were thinking about Africa. Because, if you go back to 2010, there weren't really a lot of companies building software and solutions from Kenya. So we'd use things from the US, wherever. So that really bugged me. I was like, we can't build our own solutions. So that was it. One. And then around between 2013 and 2020, when we started payments, that's the time I realized that the payments and wallet services that we were using were not accessible for everyone. So there was a lot of payment services, etc., but they were only accessible to a select few. And that really made me want to really dive into payments and figure out, okay, how can we build infrastructure in payments that can benefit Africans and African businesses? So those are the two reasons, like what motivated me. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. And what would you say were some of the biggest challenges that you faced initially at the onset, when you started the business?
Yeah, so I mean, the challenges were a lot. They'd unlock themselves at different seasons. So I remember when I finished uni, I just took my certificate home and I was like, okay, Dad, Mom, that's good.
Yeah.
Now there's this thing I want to do.
Yeah.
And, my dad was like, okay, go try it. But he was 50-50. He wasn't so sure. So when I spoke to my partner and told him, hey, this is our plan A, B, C, and D. Has to work. So we had, of course, simple issues you'd have. You don't have enough capital to even get a place to work from. Remote working wasn't a big thing that customers appreciate. Now it's easy for you to say you're remote working and you'd still get business. Back then you need to have a physical location. So first thing was I needed a space to work from. And I remember I didn't have rent. So I went to Ngara.
Okay.
Actually my wife introduced me to someone there.
Okay.
Because my wife's dad had a small office there. Offices were like 20,000 bob.
Oh, okay.
Pretty small. So she was like, hey, come talk to this guy. He has some couple of offices. He can give you a small space. And I spoke to him. I didn't have rent. I told him, hey, give me a small space. And he was like, okay, I'm going to give you this small one. I didn't have deposit. He was like, you'll figure it out. He gave me a desk and 2 seats.
Wait, take it back. So were you already married to your wife, or she's your girlfriend now? No. And now you're already going to your future father-in-law to ask for you guy. Okay.
Actually, the guy who gave us a space was the accountant. Because, it's like you're in one side of the office and then your accountant is on, like the floor below you.
Yes.
So at that time, no, she wasn't even my girlfriend, man. It's I met her in uni.
Yes.
You chat a bit, but it wasn't working out. I was like, okay, fine. Probably I'm broke. Okay, I need to figure out this thing.
We need money, yeah?
Yeah. Because I was broke, man. Like in uni, you guys know it.
Edwin didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, probably was in the US. And, So I was pretty broke, and one of the things I really wanted to do is make an impact. I was like, I need to do something. I need to make something of myself. So, so I met her, and then she told me speak to this guy, and then I speak to him, and he gives us an office.
Wow.
How we paid for rent for that first month is a long story. We had to sell a tablet. That my partner,
whose tablet?
My partner won a tablet. Like he's a proper techie, so he's a gamer.
Yeah.
So he went and did an Intel challenge, I think, at the iHub or something. So just playing games, and then he won. Wow. And then he was given a Samsung Galaxy Tab. So it was like our first asset.
Yeah.
So he had to sell it.
Oh man.
And I think we sold it like for 40,000 bob, and half of that money was used to pay a loan. Like it's a long story. And the other one we used to pay as deposit. But that guy was kind enough. Like we didn't pay any like crazy deposits, like 3-month deposits. So we face certain challenges like that. Yeah. So there's no money, you don't have team, you have no processes. You think you know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. So there's a lot of challenges. Yeah. But they'd unlock themselves like in different seasons. When it started, it was more structure in people. When you grow a bit, it becomes figuring out skill. Now you want to operate in different markets. There's regulatory nuances.
Yeah.
And then now I'm at the point where I'm realizing the value of a good team and culture. Yeah.
Wonderful. So were you always an entrepreneur, or that was your first try at entrepreneurship and founding something?
I think I had a knack for it. I loved it. My dad was an entrepreneur for a long time before he lost his job. So I saw my dad like running his hardware shop, building apartments, doing his own thing. And I think I loved the freedom he had because I got to live and see that. So even during weekends, we'd go to this hardware shop in Thika and we'd work there. And that's the time I learned, okay, you work and then you get money for airtime. So I was like, okay, this thing is not as bad. And then I started internships very early. So I'd go to like my uncle's businesses and just work like when I was in first year of uni, second year of uni. And I didn't like waking up. I'm not a morning person. So I knew I can't do this thing for long.
Can do 8 to 5. Eh?
Yeah, I can't do 8 to 5 for long.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't productive. I didn't think I was creative enough.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to figure out how I can put the talents I have and the knowledge I have into good use, especially in technology, because I feel like I'm a natural problem solver. So I needed to find a problem I'm passionate about and solve it really well and make it a business. So yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's actually a good soundbite there. You know, find a problem that you're passionate about solving and solve it really well, make it a business.
Make it a business. Make money from it.
I think that's even if we were to wind down here, that would be a good one.
He's giving us our soundbite for getting people to watch the episode.
Just actually as a follow-up on to that, were you a member of Junior Achievers in high school?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Those guys were embroiled in a particular scandal, if you remember. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, fine.
Right. I mean, you've touched on many really cool things that we've sort of highlighted in parts of this podcast in previous episodes. So pivoting, I mean, the importance of the founder, number one, you're really the thing, how it started from you, but also pivoting, being resilient, trying new things, learning from, COVID and issues that had come up in the past, utilizing your network and meeting, the accountant that gave you the office space through your wife. So many really cool things. Another one that we often talk about on this show is sort of product market fit, right? Getting a product and making sure that it fits with the market that you're actually trying to target. How did you could talk about the initial version of Terra, or you could talk about Terra 2.0, what you're working on now. How did you identify the product market fit, or how did you test this out to make sure that you're serving the right market and get that fit?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a really good question, because when we started, we didn't know what product market fit is. I don't think anyone tells you, straight from uni, you're saying you want to run this business.
Yeah.
So you come in and you think that customers buy solutions. Customers don't buy technology. I've just come to learn. They buy your ability to solve their problem. So if you're able to solve it, that's what they pay for. So when we started, I didn't know, like what product market fit is. And then now in Terra 2.0, because of the experience we've had, we realized that the best way to start is just take a crap product, give it to the first test users.
Yeah.
Like, don't overthink it. Don't over-engineer it. So we built the first iteration of this wallet as a service infrastructure, me and my partner, over Christmas in 2021. So COVID had really take us, it took us to a new low. And then we said, okay, we have to figure this thing out. So I read a lot of McKinsey reports on, what's happening in Africa, how's fintech going to evolve. And we realized this thing called digital wallets. And we said, okay, let's look at this thing. So we built a quick product in 3 weeks, launched it in January. It was really crap. And then we gave it to 1 or 2 users. And then we built it around them.
Wow, okay.
So they'd use it and you realize, okay, we don't like this, change that. And that is what we've done for the entire 2022, was putting the product in the hands of users and let them guide you. Let them tell you, this doesn't work. Could you add this? Could you remove this? So we iterated a lot. Until we got to a point where we felt, okay, we have something here. But we're still, even as we speak, on that journey of product market fit. And we hope that by the end of the year, we'll get to figure it out. So to sum it up, just give your product to your customers or your early test users. They're the ones who will tell you, how it needs to work, what problems they have, and spend a lot of time listening to them.
Wow. This guy is the king of sound bites.
Exactly.
He's given us such a nice way of just framing this whole thing, and we can just play that back, and that's amazing value. Thank you so much. That's a great
he's already saying that he had a lot of work experience before he graduated. These are the kind of guys who are 20 years old with 25 years old of experience. So you can already see the wisdom coming out of that.
Yeah? When you fail multiple times,
just to talk about just funding or raising the amount of money to do the capital to do what you're doing. What's that journey been like for you? Have you taken outside money? And how have you raised capital, and how do you decide if you're going to seek investment or not? How's that journey been for you?
Yeah, so we've never raised.
Okay.
And that for us has been by design. So when we started Terra, we didn't have money. It was just, like small help here and there. But we realized very early on that we really wanted our customers to be our investors. So say, okay, it's going to take long.
Okay.
Brace, like it's going to take longer than you think. But just continuous, just build a really amazing product, continuously improve it, have a good pricing, and slowly by slowly, year on year, you'll just grow. For us, I think funding is good only if you need it, if you really need it. So funding needs to be an accelerator for you. It shouldn't be the reason why you start. I don't believe you need to raise funds to start. That's my opinion. But there's certain industries where you might need capital to start. But for Terra, we figured out a lot of the solutions we're solving are really solutions we can start with what we had, which are the skills we got from university. We could code, we could program, so we could use technology to actually solve a problem. So we've never raised in the Terra version 1. We moved to Terra version 2 before COVID, which we were really successful with. So we didn't really need to raise. It was really good. We didn't even need to market. So because of a lot of referral, which made me realize the power of having customers and serving them really well. Like getting one customer, serve them really well. They bring you 2 more customers, serve them really well. So it's a network effect. And that's what we're doing to date. So we've scaled to where we are with just our own money and bootstrapping and plowing back. So taking all the money you can get, plow back. All the money you can get, plow back. So
wow,
yeah,
fantastic.
Wow, yeah. That's really fantastic. I mean, and a good point actually, that only fundraise when you need it.
Yeah,
and it should be an accelerator. Don't just fundraise.
Not the goal.
Yeah, fundraising should not be the goal. Yeah, that's a good. Another soundbite. Now, when it comes to scaling your business, what critical factors have contributed to the growth of your business? I know you've mentioned a few really on serving your customers well, getting referrals, but maybe if there's one more you'd want to add.
Scaling is really like it's a balancing act, because you need to figure out scaling where, why, and when. Because for us, what we've realized is that you really need people who've had experience scaling. So if you want to scale across Africa, it's good to work with people who've experienced scaling in Africa, because again, we always say we want Terra to be like masters of learning from our experience and our failures. So we always say bring someone who's had experience in scaling across Africa, even if they failed. So one of the things we've been doing now is saying bring in a senior management team of people who've had experience in growing into the markets you'd want to grow into, because they have insights on what to expect and how not to make the same mistakes probably they experienced in the different other companies they were in. That's a first one. Secondly, scale is about partnerships. So we are very keen on like a partner-led growth strategy, which means you go into markets where your partners are already in. That way you get a softer landing.
Instead of trying to start
it yourself, especially us guys, because we're in fintech. You can imagine there's regulation in all these markets you're going into. So it's easier for me to find a partner in Ghana and Uganda and go in and work with them and grow business until you get to a volume where you're saying, okay, I need to incorporate there now. I need to do all the regulatory approvals and all these things. When you're bootstrapped, you really need to look at how much cash you're burning. So that's the thing. So it makes you really think critically about where you want to scale and validate it. So for us, our scaling plan is really purely partner-led. Because we feel we'll have a softer landing to get into these markets and then explore and build from there. So it's gonna take longer than we think. It's challenging, because at times you really want to scale fast. And we live in an industry where, the new kind of news we see, like I wake up on LinkedIn every day and see, oh my God, $3 million. I'm like, do you know what I can do with $3 million? But you have to remember like the journey we took, it's going to be long, not easy, but year on year, you see growth.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Awesome. These guys are going full scale.
Yeah, going full scale and doing it in a steady manner that is, sort of promising more sustainability because
absolutely,
you're building at a good pace.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So maybe I can follow that up with a question on so far, what is the worst mistake that you've made as an entrepreneur? Or what is the toughest decision you've had to make as an entrepreneur so far?
I've made a lot of worst decisions where
pick the worst of them all.
Oh man, I remember the first
the
paycheck.
toughest, really.
I think I drank all of it. But I was in uni, man. Oh God, I got the first check and then you see the way when you're so broke, and you make it. The first thing is that you want to show people that finally I made it. That was pretty it was pretty dumb when I got the first checks. I was just burning it all on, on party and all of those things. So in hindsight, I was that was dumb, but I'm happy I did it then, But toughest for me was COVID because I had to make very, very tough decisions.
Yeah.
One, when you start having a team of people, something changes. You start looking at them and you see beyond them. You start looking at them and you see their wives, you see their children, you see families. And you realize all of them depend on you. It's a trickle down.
Yeah.
And during COVID, we were torn in between, okay, do we fire everyone? Do you wake up and say everyone 50% salaries? Do you wake up and choose people over your business and over your own survival as a founder?
Yeah.
So it was really, really tough. So, and in hindsight, at times you think we made a mistake. If you'd ask someone in the company, they'd say probably you should have laid off earlier. But I always believe I'm a founder who believes in people and teams. So I'm a team player. I'm such a team player, and at times it's a weakness for me that I chose to pay people full salaries for over 6 months. Even during COVID, we didn't cut anyone's salary by 20, 30, 40, 50. But the company suffered. Because now we bled. You're still retaining full salaries because I was asking myself where this guy's gonna go. So I think it was one of the toughest decisions. Then after those 6 months, we realized this thing is not gonna go. And we had to make tough decisions and say, okay, some guys have to go home. Tell people it's bad, I don't have your salaries for the next 2 months.
Wow.
So yeah, it is what it is. So I'm very empathetic. So at times when I look at people, I see beyond company.
Yeah.
And now I realize why you need a very good board and a very good
to can help with decisions.
Because there's some decisions I come and say, personally I feel this, but for the interest of the company, probably that's not the right direction to take.
Yeah.
But for me, those are some of the toughest decisions. That's the toughest decisions I ever had to make.
What's you'd say the biggest or most important lesson you've learned so far in your entrepreneurship journey?
Just one.
Any. It could be more if you want. But if you had to pick,
I think just the value of structure, culture, and governance.
Okay.
In your company and your business. Now, I could listen to you guys talking about governance, and I was like, yeah, that's it. Because I didn't have a lot of that back then.
Okay.
Because of the nature of how we started. You just started a business, thought you knew, but you realize, okay, there's importance of structure, especially for us because we're building Terra to be thought leaders, to be a legacy. You realize the importance of foundation and proper structure and proper governance. Yeah. And not only that, even the people you bring in. And not only the people, it's the culture in the organization. Yeah. So those are the things that as chief vision bearer, the vision bearer for Terra, those are the things I eat and breathe every day now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
And just a quick one, maybe a very high, the highest moment you've ever had in your entrepreneurship journey so far, the thing that at the pinnacle or the thing that you wake up and you're like, that's the one great moment or the greatest moment.
Oh, when the school feeding program went national.
Yeah.
Let me give you context. Do you realize that the technology being used in that the school feeding program, which now is the largest in Africa.
Wow.
When we co-developed it, it's tech we started in 2012.
Wow.
But never
And
really
we were
to
early
deploy
on.
it.
We were so early on,
Yeah.
and it made me realize how timing is important. You might do something now and you think it's not working. It's just a seed. It's just like a seed you've put in there. Just leave it. It's gonna grow.
Hey.
Well, and now, like fast forward all those years later, I was like, you mean this thing was gonna be used to feed kids?
Wow.
Like I never thought this thing will ever be used in such a context. So like for me, when it went national and now hearing over 50 million plates of food served, I'm like, wow. Yeah, that's a highlight for me, because I always even tell my mom, because my mom used to find those bands that kids use to tap and eat. Just find them at home, and she was like, what are these things? I always ask mom, now do you see them in kids everywhere? So that was a highlight for me. Yeah,
amazing. And you mentioned legacy. I think that's a really cool legacy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's really, really impressive. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, honestly, can and founders can really glean a lot of nuggets from your conversation, especially around the fact that sometimes you plant seeds and you may not be seeing results now, but in due course, they start to make sense. You start to see the fruits of your labors.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good one. So, and to build into that response, from your experience so far, what are the 3 things that you consider extremely important to the success of a venture or a startup or a business?
I think I'll be a bit biased on this one. I don't think there's any 3.
Yeah.
It's probably what I'd say my 3. I think number 1, it's people, it's culture, and I'd say a bit of luck. Let me explain.
How do you measure luck?
I always say luck is where like opportunity meets preparedness.
Yep.
So when I look at my journey and my story over the last decade, and this goes back to the conversation we just had around seeds. A lot of the things that I've managed to do were seeds, and they find you. I always believe like luck finds you, but you just have to stick long enough in the game. It always comes and finds you, but you just need to be able to stick long enough for it to find you and circle back and find you.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean by luck. It means you need to be prepared, you need to master your craft, and then just keep going. Stick long enough.
Power.
Yeah, stick long enough. It's gonna find you. When you look at what we're doing in the education space with kids, if you look at now what we're doing, because now we've digitized identity for all the tea farmers in Kenya, and this is something that found me in 2013, but we actualized in 2021.
Wow.
So almost a decade later.
Almost. That's 8 years later.
Yeah.
That's the time it actually worked out. So when I look back, I always think that that's a bit of luck, because that's when it found me, planted the seed, but we came to repeat in 2021. So I believe just for me, it's those 3, because I've seen what happens with the absence of those 3. Where if you don't stick long enough, opportunities miss you. If you're not ready, they pass you, because when they come, you're not prepared. You don't have that contract ready. You don't have governance in place. You don't have a team in place.
You're scumbering to set up things.
Yes. And then you're not ready, and then it passes you. Team is important, because if you don't have a strong team of people who understand your vision and they can execute it very well, even if you log 10 customers, they will fumble. They'll drop off. You'll start churning. And 3 is culture. I mean, culture is big, guys. Last year, we had to do a culture reset, and we lost almost everyone. Culture reset.
So is it that you're building a bad culture, or you realize the culture is not sustainable?
Yeah, because
for the future?
the culture we had wasn't really good, because now you run an organization day to day, but you realize people are there for the wrong reasons. They don't believe in your vision. They don't believe in where you need to go. And at scale, culture is really, it's just like putting like one bad banana with a bunch of other bad bananas. You leave it there for a weekend, all the bananas are rotten. So you really need to make sure that your team really understands, hey, what do we believe in? What are our core values? It's just not a plaster on the wall. Then you go to an office and you see culture. So for us, we went through a journey with a partner called Answer. And it was just a journey of discovering and saying, what is Terra 2.0? What do we believe in? What does success look like for us? right? And we went to the foundations again because we didn't want when scale finds us, we don't have like a stable foundation. So we implemented culture, people drop off.
Yeah, of course.
Because they don't believe it or they don't want, for some reason. But now once you start attracting your tribe, they stick. Even your employee churn goes down. Because now people believe in what you're building.
Yeah.
They see it, they understand it, and they want to be part of it.
Yeah.
So culture retains really good talent for you.
Wow. That's another soundbite there.
Amazing learnings.
Yeah. Okay. Culture retains really good talent because they can see their contribution into a bigger picture.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So, of course, for any founder, there's always a question of, long-term vision, whether you plan to exit. When you look at, you look into the future of Terra, well, do you plan to exit at one point? What is the long-term vision? What does it look like for you?
Yeah, so we want Terra to be Pan-African, right? So Kenya is not enough for us. So that's why we're looking for ways to scale next year into at least 2 additional markets in Africa.
Okay.
But in terms of exit, I think I wanted to retire by 30. Look at me now. Right?
I think already building towards the 40s.
Yeah, but okay, I think 40 it is. And then you get 40, it's like, 45. So
you'll be 20 under 50. Top 20 under 50. You're
gonna be there. Top 10 under 50.
So I think for me, it's been changing. So what exit means for me is not really waking up and selling off Terra and going. But for sure, there gets to a point, even now you realize you're not the smartest one in the room, which is fine. So you're hiring people who are way smarter than you. And for us, we're saying those are the people who will take this company to a different level. So that's something humbling you need to accept as a founder, that, you'll build it to a certain level, but you'll need really good people and a team to help you scale this. So definitely, I mean, there'll be a point where probably I might not be CEO, probably board chair, something like that. There's a lot of passion projects I want to pursue as well. We're not growing any younger. So probably that would be the direction Terra takes. You'll still have a bit of influence, but we're really putting in structure and governance to allow it to run, to be a process-driven company.
As a founder in this industry, what trends are you seeing that are coming up in the ecosystem that maybe excite you the most? Or how do you see the investment landscape changing in the next few years, or just the fintech space changing?
I think trends that excite me, there's a lot of talk around AI. But I think in the context of Kenya and Africa, I've not seen a lot of people who've implemented it. So I think it's just the promise of AI that we can probably talk about, which is really exciting. Like, it's going to change a lot of things.
Yeah.
Even us at Terra, we're still trying to figure out, okay, what does AI look like for wallets?
Yeah.
So I think that's what's there, like in a lot of the companies around Kenya and Africa, is we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
No one really knows AI that well here. So it's very promising, I'd say. And to the other question, like how the investment landscape is changing, I think there's going to be a lot of investors now looking at profitability as a very key metric.
Okay.
At which organizations like they invest in, because we've seen all the stories, man, of investments going south. And personally, I never have a problem with that, because failure is part of it. Like, not all companies make it, but I think investors are starting to get more attracted with companies that are profitable or are broken even. Before it could be other metrics, what we call vanity metrics at times. Could be how many users, those things, how many users you have, how volume of transaction.
Yeah.
I was like, but are you making money? Yeah. So I feel like that's gonna change a bit. There's a huge interest in Africa.
Yeah.
Because we're over 1.3 billion people, so huge opportunity here. And I'm waiting to see how this Africa free trade thing called AFCA.
AFCA. How it will unfold.
How unfolds, because I believe like Africa should be open, man. And if we openly trading, there's a huge opportunity there. Like, it's a massive untapped market. Yeah.
So I think this is the last serious question, really. Then I think, Tim, you'll give us some more interesting stuff.
Okay.
So this is something we're trying for. You're a very first guest on the episode, on the show. we want to have a segment that sort of is a through line that every guest that comes on will leave us with something that we can then put together. What we're trying to put together is what we're calling the entrepreneurial time capsule, which the thought process is, imagine you've been transported to the future and they've presented you in front of all the future founders that are coming in the next generation in Africa, right? They are going to build the next Terra, the next M-Pesa, whatever it is you can imagine. Forget what's even here. We can't even picture what that's going to be. And those people are just about to start their journey, literally tomorrow. And they've transported you to the future and they've asked you to tell them one thing. What's that one thing that you would say to them?
Yeah, I think, oh God, I have a cocky one.
Sure.
I think I'd say just start and good luck.
That's not cocky at all.
And probably you're crazy.
You're crazy, yeah? Oh, okay.
Because you're sitting there and thinking, I'm the best person, most qualified guy to solve this problem. And everyone's gonna buy it and everyone's gonna love it. Yeah, like you're crazy. Just start and good luck.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Perfect.
Perfect. That's an interesting one. Yeah. Yeah, we mentioned to you that we'll ask you a surprise question, a question that you better be ready for it. But it's really a simple and a fun question. So, and I'm sure you've heard about it a couple of times. So if you had a superpower and you have these 4 options, one is ability to read people's minds. When you're seated in a meeting, you can tell what everybody's thinking, even when they're not telling it to you. The second one is ability to fly. The third one is ability to go into the future and see what is happening. And the fourth one, is the ability to be invisible. You're here and we cannot tell you're here, but you can still get here and hear our conversation and discussions. Which of the 4 would you choose to be your superpower and why?
Probably the future one. Yeah.
Why?
Because of the mistakes I've gone through.
You feel like you've made enough mistakes you can avoid.
Enough mistakes, man. I messed up so many times that I think the ability to see the future for me will help me kind of fix things. Not really fix things. It'll help me live a better now. So, and for me, it's not even in the context of work, is that if you knew what's going to happen next week, probably you'd spend more time with your dad today, or you'd spend more time with your wife. Probably you'd take that holiday that you're postponing all the time. Yeah. Probably the future will help me figure out, how to live now. I think that's a reason, why I'd pick that.
That's profound.
Deep response.
That's profound.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to fly. But I'm but
it's the why, right? It's always the why that needs to be. Oh, wow. So really
but you see, they have not been entrepreneurs. So
that's true.
Clearly.
That's true. But I always think in terms of the time, it becomes a whole sci-fi, whatever, which I nerd out about a bit. But it's if you could tell the future and you could see that problem and then you avoid that problem, are you still, yes, that problem hasn't happened until you've made a better future for yourself.
Yeah.
But have you still internalized that lesson the way you would have if you had lived that thing?
No.
And so will you end up in the present being truly that better version of yourself now?
Yeah.
Or you're just some other alternate so it becomes really, in my mind, just goes down a rabbit hole.
One thing about me is that I learn from other people. So I get into rooms and I keep quiet. You learn and you listen from other people. So I've learned from people's failures, man. Recently, a friend of mine, Tesh, Market Force, what happened? I went and sat with him over lunch and I was like, I know there's all these things being written and, everyone is trying to bash him. And I said, okay, just tell me what you learned. Because there in itself, in that failure, there's a lot of stories that probably media won't highlight or anything. I was like, just cut him some slack and just listen. It's probably something you learn. So for me, since I was young, I've learned a lot from my brother. My dad was retrenched. Actually, that's how he lost his job. And for me, I was like, okay, so that's employment. So for me, some of those things are lessons that I've been carrying because I don't want to go through whatever I saw them going through. So yes, while the future story is nice.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, even if I can see the future, I can live nicely now, but I'd really try and learn from people. as much.
But picking up lessons is equally living in the future, because if somebody has already made the mistakes and you decide this is not a mistake I want to make. So it's in concurrence, really. Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do in our podcast.
Exactly.
My podcast that we're starting. It's just
Please
about
plug. I would love to. What's your podcast about? Tell us.
Yeah, it's called Dreamers and Doers.
Okay.
And it's just about inviting entrepreneurs, founders, or just any dreamer, someone who's dreamt and done something about it. So it's just not about dreaming. And then we're looking at that doing, not only in terms of success, but even those who failed. Because I think I enjoy myself being in a space where we can have like real war stories about people's journeys, the steps they took, the dreams they had growing up, what they've done about it, what has worked, what hasn't worked.
Wow.
So just about, dreamers and doers.
That's awesome. And you're a fantastic storyteller, so I look forward to that. So please, when Dreamers and Doers will be out, please check it out. Collins' podcast coming. So let's keep growing the podcast space as well. Telling stories and learning from each other's paths and journeys. Looking into the future and avoiding other people's mistakes. 100%. Awesome. Thank you. I guess one last fun one before we close out the show is we typically just talk about something interesting that we've encountered or thought of or seen during our week. So do you have anything interesting for us from the week? Do we want to go first? So we also give him time in case he hasn't...
No, he goes first.
Yeah, you want to go first? Interesting thing of the week?
Something interesting that you've learned or discovered this week.
Yeah, so actually something I've discovered today, and I think I posted it on my Instagram. I follow Vusi Tembekwayo. You know him?
Yes.
I love Vusi so much because I feel like he relates with the African story. And he posted something where TD Jakes was saying that when you decide to move differently, all of a sudden you become controversial. And that was so profound. Like, I think I saw it today at 6 a.m. I was like, because now you can see it in your journey. Even you, like, remember from high school, you get to uni, there's some decisions you made and you decided to move differently. Of course. And then all of a sudden people are like,
you're not fun anymore.
You're not fun anymore. He made some money, he doesn't want to hang out with us. Like, no. At times we make sacrifices to morph yourself and, groom yourself to be the person that, you need to be for me, for Terra to work, for me, for my family to work. So like we change a lot. And we realize that when you change and decide to move differently, could be anyway, you stopped going out. It could be you stopped, I don't know, smoking. It could be you stopped drinking. All of a sudden you become controversial. So, and he was using the analogy of even like Jesus in the story, saying, Jesus was hanging around sinners. And a lot of the Pharisees and whatever were mocking him.
The establishment.
The establishment. Like, this guy telling us he's the son of God and he's hanging around sinners and what do you call them? Prostitutes, washing his feet. So I that was really profound, and I just learned about it today.
Wow.
That's impressive. Amazing. That's a good
I've even written it down. That's so cool. You did mention that you posted on your Instagram. Do you have any social media handles you want us to, if people want to find you or find out more about you or Terra, where they should look?
Do I tell you the formal ones that the company wants me to say?
Whichever ones you want to share.
Okay. So you can follow me on Instagram at Muriuki Collins. Also Muriuki Collins on LinkedIn. Not active on Twitter. So those are 2 places you can find me.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Tim, do you have something interesting for the week?
Oh, and it's X, not Twitter.
Trust me, we would have forgotten that it's, a lot of people use Twitter X. I'm sure Elon Musk wouldn't be very happy because he was very deliberate about renaming it to X. So, well, for me, the interesting thing of the week actually did not happen this week. Happened, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
When I presented a guest lecture to students at the Strathmore University on equity financing. It was a very interesting moment, seeing very hungry students, eager to learn. And they were engaging in terms of asking questions, wanting to learn. But there's one question that I taught 2 classes. So I had the class in the morning, and then I had a break where I sat in an office and worked for some time, and then did the other class. Now, there's a question that kept being consistent in both classes, which was when you're talking about equity financing, which is basically financing through acquisition of shares for a business, it's very transactional. You put money, you get your shares, you get to attend general meetings and all. You get your dividends. So you think of it in a very commercial sense, a transactional exercise.
Yeah.
So there's a question that kept coming of, is it fair? When somebody asks you, is it fair if you're talking about right of first refusal or right of first offer? The question is it fair to do business like that? Is it fair? And I kept wondering, because it would catch me off guard. Like, I've never thought of it whether it should be fair. I just know it's a way of doing business. So it got me thinking. I went with a reflection point in sometimes, especially in this conversation that we are having, which is consistent about sustainability. Collins has just talked about legacy. I think it's time to start perhaps taking care of such concerns beyond just deciding, it's transactional, let's do a transaction, let's do business, this is how it's done. The soft part of it. Because to be honest, I would, that question would catch me like, who thinks about businesses, whether it's fair, So that's my interesting thing that I picked in the recent past. Yeah,
that's profound.
Yeah,
and well done on the
Well done. Thank you very much. Yeah,
guys, thank you. Thank you for your interesting thing, Professor Mukiti. Thank you for yours.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you guys have given us good, profound, really, learnings. Because mine is not.
I knew you were going to say that.
Mine is nowhere close to any of that. I'll try to make it.
Is it closer to the one of perfumes for dogs?
No.
Are we getting perfumes for cats now?
We did an episode where the interesting thing was that there are perfumes for dogs now. It's actually a whole thing.
It's weird because I saw a Shark Tank reel on Instagram where someone had invented
Spanks for horses.
Yeah, no, was it for horses? No, like a belt, or you see the kids have car seats. Like a car seat for dogs.
Oh,
I was like, wow.
And it's interesting because people put their dogs in and then it's not safe.
Yeah, now they're like strapped and they look weird. The dogs look like this.
Okay, that's a good interesting
there's a need.
one.
Someone saw a problem they had, and they're iterating.
I solved it passionately.
Solving a problem well.
Yeah.
So my interesting thing of the week. Usually I wake up the morning we're going to record, like this morning, and I just go back through my newsletters, things that I've been keeping track of, just to see what is the interesting thing I want to highlight. And I went through today to start trying to figure that out. And literally, I see a notification, Raheem Sterling to Arsenal. And I was like, okay. By far the most interesting thing I've seen this week is just a deal that took me by surprise. I didn't expect him to come to, I'm very sorry also to our viewers and listeners who don't follow football, because this means nothing to you. But just Sterling to Arsenal is just something I hadn't thought of, and seeing it happen now, of course I wish him the best because I'm an Arsenal fan, and it's just a last minute deal, deadline day deals. So going to sleep not knowing what's going to happen and waking up and something actually did happen. I used to stay up maybe the Wenger days, later on, those deadline days, waiting to see if we're actually going to get, is Mbappe really coming? But
Wenger had very good surprises.
That's what I'm
last
saying.
day.
Because he would do those fax deals on the last minute. So I was, but now I've been sort of trying to tune out transfer news because I usually get disappointed. But to wake up and see that, I was actually refreshed. I said, you know what? It's reinforcement. It's Premier League experience. This guy has been to like every big club now. So, and he knows a lot of our players anyway. So let's see what happens. But that's what I found interesting today. And certainly this week. So let's see how it pans out.
Yeah.
I'm not a football guy.
But,
like I could tell if you're an Arsenal fan, like, he must have a big heart,
both of us actually. We're both Arsenal fans,
so that when it's broken, you have something left.
I think any Arsenal fan can be an entrepreneur.
Long
suffering. You've waited for long.
What's funny? My wife always tells me that she also didn't follow football, whatever. But when she would tell people that she's dating me or whatever, and I'm an Arsenal fan, other people, especially guys, would tell her, if he's an Arsenal fan,
he will stay.
He will stay. Because he's already been through so much heartbreak, and he's still there. So anyway, plug for Arsenal fans. Okay, that's the show. Do you want to wrap us up, Tim?
Yeah, sure. So awesome. I'm almost feeling sad that this show is coming to an end. Like it's been very nice. Really fun. I've been learning a lot, even as we're sitting here and having this conversation. Honestly, it's very profound stuff, and it's important really to sit especially myself now, I'm running a law firm that is growing. It's really an entrepreneurial journey in itself, and to hear stories, what you're saying, I think I've learned a lot. So thank you very much for making time and sharing the nuggets and sharing your stories. I'm sure every entrepreneur, either whether starting or doing their journey, or listens to the podcast, will be able to get so much from it, either to spur their journey a bit more. Maybe sometimes you're feeling like, is this thing working? Your story about the seed, it can spur their journey. And for the ones starting, you can buckle up more. No, sometimes it can be, something can, what you thought was working could stop working because of factors beyond you, and you need to pivot or, sort of do something else different. So yeah, it's been lovely. Those nuggets are awesome. You don't want to miss this conversation with Collins, who we used to call Colo. Does anybody call you Colo anymore?
When you call me Colo, I was like, he knows me from way.
Because in high school, we were always calling you Colo.
Like, hey, nobody calls you Colo now. You know those childhood names that you have, and you're like, this is only my brother and my auntie and my...
So it's been nice having a session with Colo, hearing his story as an entrepreneur, the impact he's making, where he wants to see Terra in a couple of years. And the nuggets, the lessons you speak, I'm sure this will add value to a lot of entrepreneurs, founders of startups, and people growing and scaling up. So as usual, we will have a weekly challenge. Be on the lookout for the same. And thank you again for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And tell a friend to tell a friend. And like we say, we don't mind if you tell your enemies. So yeah, you can also tell your enemies, and then they will tell other enemies what you're doing with your life. And thanks for tuning in, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.